Arc Raiders kind of broke the loot pool, or maybe it's intentional. Maybe, maybe not. As crazy as that sounds, let me explain in this video. While a nerf very well could be on the horizon to correct a current situation, there's plenty of recent evidence to suggest that even with a nerf, an increase of some kind was intentional. Today we're taking a look at what you should know and what the ultimate outcome could be. Drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Arc Raiders and other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, let's get into it. So first and foremost, the hurricane map condition was added as of the Shrouded Sky update 2 days ago. Generally speaking, cool idea, but everyone's looking at it exclusively for the loot right now. The dynamic of the visibility changes, movement implications, all of that is a bit overshadowed by the loot in that map condition in particular. And understandably, for those that haven't heard, it's because of the first wave Raider caches, the new Raider cache variant that you'd see in other map conditions, but exclusive just to the Hurricane map condition. From the very beginning, it was said rumors are circulating of valuable Raider caches, relics of the first wave, that have been unearthed by the ferocious winds. If you can battle the elements, get through the arc, and outsmart rival raiders, who knows what you might find. So they were teasing higher tier loot of some kind, but like whether or not that was new items or existing higher tier items, it was kind of left to the imagination. But in these Raider caches, now that they're actually a part of the game, you can find, well, the lead off and the headline are things like the Tempest, Bobcat, Volcano, all of those are in there, plus even more. I saw an explosive mine blueprint in there multiple times, which is interesting because that's usually an entirely different loot pool type. I've seen a lot of crossover between traditional Raider caches like the Venator. I've even found the Vitaspray blueprint in there, which right now has recently had 2 other opportunities with the Shared Watch event recently, and then the Worth Your Salt quest that was added with the Shrouded Sky update. That's now a reward for that quest. But otherwise, in world alone, like simply looting for that, it's a wildly rare blueprint to find out in the open. So a lot of higher tier loot has been added into these Hurricane map condition Raider caches, and ones that would otherwise be incredibly rare. Again, the Vitaspray being one of those. The Tempest was previously an incredibly rare drop rate in night raids only. The Bobcat was a rare drop rate only on locked gate map conditions, and the Volcano was a rare drop rate only on the hidden bunker map condition. So you have these and more being thrown into the forefront and being found very commonly. So again, understandably, this is something that's overshadowing a lot of what else that map condition may bring to the fold. One of the cool things that was a smaller implication here that seems to be happening is a sort of UFO style arc that might be the next big archetype we get in April. I mean, that could be a cool little teaser here with this, but a lot of stuff, again, overshadowed just simply by the loot. Now, if you're looking for going for these, again, now would probably be the best time to do so before we know if it's intentional or not, take advantage of it. But these share the same spawn rotations as regular caches, it seems. There are plenty of tools out there that can help you out. If you have a second monitor, if you have it pulled up on your phone or something like that. The one I use all the time, not sponsored at all or anything, it's just I truly use it because I think it has everything you could need, is the Metaforge map utilities. They have spawn rates for everything, including these Raider caches. Now, they're not guaranteed to spawn every single one of those icons you'll see on whatever map the utility showcases, but there's a chance that they'll spawn on one of those. Like, those spawns are set locations, but they're on rotation every single match. So if you know where a cluster of these spawns are, chances are you'll find 1 or 2 in the vicinity of that area. However, still not guaranteed. Like, there are clusters you'll see that just don't have any, but raid over raid may have one. But again, here's the thing. This very well could get nerfed. All of these super rare high-level loot items and their blueprints now being commonly found within this. This very well could get nerfed, and I do hope that I'm not too late to the party by uploading this here. Like, I sometimes have impeccable timing where we'll talk about something like this, and then like either an hour after or an hour before, but the video's already made, it'll be something the nerf goes out. So fingers crossed I'm not the harbinger of doom here for this, but I wanted to wait to make this video just in case, and with a hotfix already having gone out today for Arc Raiders, unless it was one of those things that they're trying to sweep it under the rug without drawing any attention to it, like a, nuh-uh, that didn't happen, look. It wasn't mentioned in those quick hotfix patch notes. So like, maybe we're in the clear, but still, it is something that a nerf historically has happened like this before. With Expedition 1, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but the Cold Snap update dropped, right? That's also when we saw a blueprint buff like crazy that was shortly thereafter nerfed. Unless I'm misremembering, this was something that was across the board though, not condition specific. So it is not a necessarily one-to-one, but it also wouldn't be the first time we'd see this kind of quick reversal happen. However, my hope is that even if nerfed, the rotation is still at least upheld, offering more ways to get things like the Tempest, Bobcat, and Volcano. Things that are those higher tier, very specific conditions for how you get those blueprints, that this offers another avenue for that. And here's why I think that actually could be the case. Again, independent of if there's a nerf or not. Embark recently went on record with design director Virgil Watkins talking about plans to amend how blueprints were earned. In a question asking about the blueprint carryover, if that would ever be a thing for players to take some blueprints past the wipe and the reset of the expedition, it was asked, have you ever considered allowing players to bring a couple of their favorite blueprints across, almost like a safe pocket system, in order to prevent people from getting stuck trying to find one in particular? Virgil Watkins then mentioned that was an idea that we had even before launch. It's a tricky situation because the blueprints in particular are such a power elevation. Now you have the autonomy to craft this thing very deliberately, and does that fit in? And then as well, if we ever make, and we have made, adjustments to the blueprint drop rates and things like that. But I certainly don't think it's off the table. Later then saying, I wonder if we can address that particular pain point by additional changes or systemic changes to how blueprints are found, acquired, or learned, rather than needing to feel like they have to come along with the expedition system. So, giving you better or more autonomy over how you acquire blueprints, for example, might alleviate some of that concern on that side of things. So I don't want to overburden the expedition system with things that we might not want to do. That last part is kind of the key here. If we can address the particular point by additional changes or systemic changes to how blueprints are found, acquired, or learned. This has already taken shape in some capacity and seems to be snowballing into more and more solutions or workarounds here in the future. Recently, we saw the trophy display project introduced, right? That being a higher tier persistent project that tasks players with taking down increasingly harder and harder to find arc enemies, but rewarded players with things like the Bobcat or Snap Hook blueprints, which are otherwise incredibly hard to find and are map and mode specific, with Bobcat previously being only available during the Blue Gate, Locked Gate map condition, and the Snap Hook only being found in the Electromagnetic Storm map condition. Then we saw that recent addition to the Shared Watch event, which had a reward of the Vitaspray blueprint, again, something that was otherwise incredibly rare in that in-world loot pool of healing items. Now, just recently with the Shrouded Sky update, the same Vitaspray blueprint was also added as a quest reward that, while a bit further into the quest tree, gives a guaranteed high-tier loot reward that allows players to know that when they're going in and doing these 50 to 60 quests, again for the second, third, or however many time, for however many expeditions you engage with, you're getting something worthwhile for that time progression once again. Similar to things like the Hallcracker blueprint only being available in the quests, but without the exclusivity of only being in quests. So it would seem like they're adding more and more ways to get higher tier loot blueprints in recent times, that perhaps that gear fear of a reset isn't something so prevalent. If you have a clear path or a better loot opportunity to get back things you lost, sure, it somewhat reshapes the economy of items and perhaps doesn't have that much lasting value. Like the Tempest is probably one of the most sought after blueprints because again, it's an incredibly rare drop rate, but also is condition specific. So it's like this kind of crown jewel that if you have it among a couple of others, it's kind of like, yeah, man, I got that. The kind of bragging rights here to this. So while you kind of lose out on that, if your goal is to make more and more incentive into the expedition system to get more people coming back and interacting with it, lessening some of that ultra rare loot gear fear and losing out on that is certainly a way to do that. Not to mention there's also the prior interest from Embark wanting to buff the use cases of higher tier loot weapons. We just saw the adjustments to the cheaper to craft weapons, trying to bring those more in line and giving the sort of edge to those rarer and more expensive weapons in the sort of crafting economy. But the higher tier epic weapons are still kind of in limbo in terms of their availability, some of the balancing perhaps that they have going forward with that. So perhaps by making them more readily available to craft is a way that we see that sort of economy, again, more in balance compared to some of the other changes we've already seen. Maybe that's how they want to do it. So returning back to the Hurricane map condition in particular, this is likely going to be another major map condition that sticks around forever. Perhaps there's a little bit of a period of uncertainty, sure, kind of like the Cold Snap event. We saw that, where it was the persistent map condition for the event, then dropped off, wasn't available anymore, and then came back as a regular but normal map condition rotation where it's not in your face, but it's also not non-existent. The Hurricane map condition's likely to follow that, if not being something a bit more relevant. At the very least, even if you decide to, oh, we're finding these items a little too quickly or commonly, to me, I think at least keep those higher tier items like the Tempest, Bobcat, and Volcano and the likes in that loot pool of those caches, even if you end up dropping the spawn rate of them, offering some additional alternative avenues to unlocking them. And yes, again, that might meet some pushback where players like myself that really do kind of feel, oh, I like that I have the Tempest, I like that I have the Bobcat, that they were ultra specific and ultra rare beforehand. Again, if you're trying to push this sort of systemic change and offering more to the expedition system itself, that's a way that you do that. So I think that's a perfect way to allow all parties involved to be satisfied and happy. Players get the opportunity to get those higher tier loot blueprints without the fear of missing out, without the fear of having to give up that one thing you may have found only once in 200 hours of playtime or something like that, but then also incentivizing doing those resets, doing some more for the weapon economy and the overall balance of that, while also not crashing it because, yeah, you have those higher tier, better weapons that are still rare, but even with a nerf, it's not like it's something that goes from 1 in 10 people have it to 9 in 10 or 10 of 10 people have it. Ultimately, we'll see. Long story short, we may be seeing some adjustments to spawns of blueprints and the sort of frequency at which you see those higher tier rewards in the first wave raider caches. At the moment, I'm not expecting them to take those things out, but the rate at which they drop definitely could be adjusted. But either way, whether again the system shock of going from ultra rare to now kind of common, or if a nerf happens, ultra rare to just regular rare, to me, I think there's some underlying logical explanation behind it. But I mean, hey, if there is a nerf on the way, jump in while you still can. At the moment, it doesn't seem like this has been adjusted, so jump in, try and get these blueprints. Maybe you're not doing the expedition and it's something that you finally end up finding the ones you've been looking a long time for. Maybe you are doing the expedition, but it's something that this nerf doesn't actually happen. We see it just kind of abundant after the wipe. Jump in, check it out for yourself. But that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. I want to fill you guys in a little bit here about the happenings of what's going on with this map condition in particular, why it's kind of popping off right now, and what the implications may mean for the future. So leave your thoughts down below. What do you think of this? If you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so much a single thing running all things Arc Raiders, even more FPS content. I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.